Can I speak to the compressions that he was talking about? I think there's no trick to it. You have to, we talked about this before, I don't think there's an answer in the boat except is to get the boat where you can take and put the back against one of the seats. Take the paddles and put them across and put the legs up and get somebody on the head. You've got to start compressions because if you don't, they're not going to survive. So you don't have time to get it into, I mean, it's going to be a bad situation in the first place. But the best you can do, I would think, is to get their back on the seat, put some paddles, put their legs on, straddle it if you have to, and get some 2-inch deep compressions, and you probably won't get breaths. But at least do compressions all the way until you get help. And the only way I could say to do that is to go get a boat and maybe the safety committee or something, just develop a protocol and see if it works. And just see if somebody can lay down, put a paddle across and something like that. Because if there's somebody close and they bring an AED, they have a good chance of survival, or a better chance. I don't say good. So, and the other thing, they mentioned AEDs. There's a app called Pulse Point. Does anybody know about it? Pulse Point will give you a location of all the AEDs in your area. So if you're, somewhere, and also if you're trained in CPR, you can push something. If somebody needs help, it'll notify you. If you're a block away, you want to go help. So Pulse Point's a really good one. Okay. I have safe environments. I teach basic CPR, basic life support classes, and pediatric first aid with my school, safe environments. Part of what I've done since I paddled a little bit is I developed a cold water immersion class because I've been in situations out there that are very cold and very dangerous with no help and realized that you have to have a better plan than I had at times over the years. So let's see if this works. So hypothermia is the end result of getting very cold. Before you get hypothermia, you're in big trouble. You don't want to get that far. So we're talking about just knowing your limitations when you go out and paddle. A lot of times there's new people and they go with people that are experienced on the 6-mans. Do your homework, know where the tides are, what the day's going to be like, and just prepare yourself because it can turn really fast out there and the water's cold. I don't know, what's the water out there now, the temperature 50? 50. Okay, I've got some things that I show here. It's a little colder than that. It's actually, the Rogue River is like 45 degrees. That's where I'm at because Clear Lake dumps into it. They do a lot of good fishing, so they have a lot of people who have hypothermia and drought because they're falling in the water. This is things that happen. This is the day bridge, and the day started off pretty good. And by the time I got to the San Mateo Bridge, there was 40 miles an hour. It was all I could think about was getting in. And it's cold out there. And you can't, on a one-man, you can't get, I'm only kidding, I want to stop, like riding a bicycle. You can't stop. So you have to be prepared. So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit. This is out the gate, in the potato patch. Hopefully you don't get in these situations because it's not something to race. So anyway, I've been in a few, so I know what I'm talking about. Where I've been there, I said, what am I doing here? Dwayne, could you play that? And I apologize for this. I do a lot of dragon boat classes, okay? And I know you never flew me an outrigger, so I put some dragon boats. But you get the idea of what can go wrong. Now this isn't all in warm water.
Attention!
1, 2, 3, 4.
watch that for hours. So they're wearing vests like this, and the thing that you're going to hear later is most drownings happen 5 feet from shore. Okay, they're not way out 5 miles out on your way to Moss Landing or something. So these people are there. It looks like there's a lot of people around, but somebody could hit their head if the OC6 goes over it and you hit your head on the Yama. And there's confusion, and it's cold, and the wind's blowing. Somebody could get hit in the head, and before you know it, they're gone. They're not there. So I'm a big advocate of the rough water and downwinds and wearing a vest, not my fanny pack. I got onto that a few years ago, and I felt way more comfortable if I went over that I at least have a chance. And you'll see, because when you hit the cold water, you only have a limited amount of time to be able to use your hands and fingers and dial the phone and do all that kind of stuff. So cold water is generally below 68 degrees. Santa Cruz is 55, goes down to 50 sometimes. The Rogue River, 45 to 50, cold. It's cold enough so if you're in there a while, you're not going to be able to do much after 15 or 20 minutes. If you're in the range between 50 and 60 degrees, your loss of dexterity is calculated at between 10 to 15 minutes, which means you're going to try to, if you try to get in the boat, you can get into the boat. You can be bailing the boat. Then you got to get in the boat. And if there's a group of people around, it's easier. If you're only one man and you're out there and you flip over in the wind and you try to get in the boat and your hands are starting to go and you try to dial a phone and put your fanny pack on, it's just not something that you should plan on. You should make sure you understand your limitations. And if you feel you're out there alone, wear a life vest. Give yourself half a chance. And like you said, make sure you know what channel your radio is on, because you're all going to be carrying radios, right? And your cell phone, have a number in there, pre-planned, and make sure that you have a plan in your head. I go over, I can't get in the boat, I need to make a call. And I need to do something within a certain time frame. You can't just sit there and keep trying because you're just going to get weaker. So the time to exhaustion is 1 to 3 hours. It sounds like a long time. I know friends that have been out in the bay and have gone over surf skis and had to swim, I think, an hour and a half. The excellent athlete, he swam an hour and a half, and he's lucky because it was near the San Mateo Bridge. But if you're not in great shape, this is good shape. So if you're not at the top of your game, that number's going to go down. And again, you need to know your limitations of what you think you could do in an emergency. Your expected survival time is 1 to 6 hours. I choose the 6, but you never know. So again, this is just to let you know that this is real numbers and stuff can happen. This is just San Francisco Bay. It's 53 and 60. The bay's cold, real cold when that water comes in the winter. So let's see. Basically, there's a few ways that we detect cold is through our skin, our spinal cord, and the abdomen. So those are our detection areas. There's a couple of mechanisms. Shivering, which I'm sure we've all been there when we start shivering. That's a way that we create heat. But you can't shiver. You know, when you stop shivering, you're in trouble. I used to paddle at San Francisco Outrigger Club, and I'm sure a lot of you have been there and done that. You come in, it's night, and they had a quarter-mile walk with a boat on you. And you get out of the water at the Crissy Field, or up north of that, and you came in and you're warm, you've been paddling, it's just getting dark, and a quarter mile with a boat on you. By the time I got to my car, I had to throw the boat down, jump in the car, because I was already done shivering. That's how cold, that was in the summer too. So when you stop shivering, that's when you've burnt all your energy up. And if you're in the water and you're doing that, now you're really getting weak. There's another way that there's a mechanism, and they mentioned this in the video I'm going to show, that their temperature absolutely went up actually before it plummeted, because there's a mechanism of thermogenesis. And this is, I got that, I don't know what it means, but this is chemical things that happen in your body that creates heat. It's another mechanism besides shivering, so it'll warm you up. but then you crash again. So you do have some mechanisms, but they don't last long. Surviving cold water immersion, cold shock. You jump in the water, we've all done that. You go over in the boat, you get that big rush, and you do the gas. Well, and they'll explain, you just try to say, okay, I just got to get through this minute of gasping and get your thoughts about you. What are we going to do next? In the 6-man, you should have assignments. I grab the paddles, this person 2 on the yama, 2 on hull, and so on. You should all know that, so that would be, okay, this is the first thing I've got to do. Cold incapacitation, they'll show about it. You're in there, and you're trying to tie knots or get the bucket loose. Let's say you're trying to get the bucket loose to bail. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to tie that knot. You probably can't tie the knot in normal fingers because they tie the knot wrong, right? And the buckets are always tied so you can't get them off. Because you'll never need them. Right? So that kind of stuff is what you have to pay attention to. Hypothermia is the end product. This is when you are completely shut down and the fire department's there and you're out. And you really have to work fast to get your temperature up. Post-rescue collapse, when he said you bring people out of the water to talk about this, if you ever see anybody come in with it's really cold, you keep them horizontal. They'll go through that. You don't want to stand them up and walk around. You want to keep horizontal because the blood is the same temperature in the extremities though. It's going to be colder. So if you take and stand them up and you dump all that cold blood through the heart, people die. So they recommend you stay horizontal. Don't get people up and walk around. There was a story I anecdotally heard about of some people in the North Sea, fishermen. They were rescued and they were in bad shape, got on the boat, and they were survived, they all survived. They weren't great, but they got them up and walked around and they all died. They had heart attacks because that blood just went, that cold blood went right through the heart and just went into cardiac arrest. So cold shock, control your breathing, keep your head out of the water, avoid panicking, and just be aware that you're going to get through that part. And then if you have some goals of what you need to do to save yourself, that'll help. Cold incapacitation, this is, without a PFD, swimmer will most likely drown. That's the big theme in all of this. You have to have a flotation device. Forget about swimming in. Forget I'm a great swimmer, I can do it, and all of that, because that's just statistically doesn't work. My friend Roger, he did it. He had all the right clothes on, and I'm amazed that he's taking precautions to never let that happen again. His surf ski blew, the paddle just blew out, and the strap just blew off. And his boat was gone in a second. And he was out there. He was very lucky. Another friend of mine, Kai, in Hawaii, he's out there. The Hawaiians are famous for, I don't need water. I don't need I don't need any flotation device. I don't need any clothes. I don't need anything. And, yeah, no radio. You know, we paddle. And he was out with Shaka and a bunch of my friends. And they're out, off of Oahu and doing their paddle. And all of a sudden, Kai's not there. And now they're looking for him. And, the currents will take you right out. And luckily, they're looking and they were going with the currents. And he was up there with his paddle, floating in the water. And I mean, that could have been a real tragedy if they didn't see it. And you don't see people out there very easily, you know that. In the water, your body loses, it's 25, let's read this right. The temperature loss is 25 times faster in water. So if you walk outside, I'm up in Medford, I go up to the slopes and get in the snow, and it gets cold. But if you were in the water at that temperature, you would shut down 25 times faster. So, again, Santa Cruz water doesn't seem that cold until you get in and spend a little time there. All right. Heat escape. This is the postures you want to keep. If you're in a group and you guys have a 6-man and you can't get it bailed and you're waiting for help for some reason, or your arm broke or whatever happened, you want to get into this position here and try to keep your heads out of the water and maintain some heat. If you're single in the held position, and that's with a jacket on, life jacket, all bets are off if you don't have your flotation device. Hypothermia is mild, there's a core body temp below 95 is mild, moderate, severe. And this is just about keeping it mild and moderate so that you can survive. This is a cold water boot camp. This is a little colder water, but you'll get the point of what they're doing. It's a good video.
8 volunteers, 45-degree water. This is Cold Water Boot Camp USA. We have selected 8 very hardy volunteers from across the country to subject them to icy cold water and teach them how to survive an accidental cold water immersion.
Okay, boot campers, welcome. The best way to learn about cold water immersion is to jump right in. You've got your gear, go on, get suited up, and then you're all going to go for a swim. Okay? All right. All right.
We're going to show you why people die in cold water. Why year after year, so many lives are lost to cold water. You see, most people don't understand the effects of cold water immersion, and some end up paying the ultimate price. So pay attention, this program could save your life. As our boot campers head to the water, here are a few cold hard facts.
The 2007 study of recreational boating accidents by the United States Coast Guard found that water temperatures made a difference. In water between 70 and 79 degrees, only 8% of the accidents were fatal, while accidents in water with a temperature of under 59 degrees, more than 40% were fatal. That means your risk of dying in cold water under 59 degrees is 5 times as great. Drowning statistics studied by the Life Saving Society revealed that when it came to boaters, 60% drowned in water under 50 degrees, and 34% drowned in water between 50 and 68 degrees. What makes it even more chilling is the fact that 43% were less than 6 feet from safety, and the majority, about 90%, were not wearing a life jacket. So why don't people wear life jackets? Research revealed that many said they don't need them if they're close to shore. Some felt that they could put their life jackets on in the water, and most said they didn't need one because they can swim.
Well, as our boot campers are about to find out, that in this 45-degree water, none of those reasons are valid.
The folks who fell quickly were very interesting because they would have drowned if they didn't have somebody to rescue them. But they weren't, again, medically hypothermic or cold. So all they had was cold muscle tissue, which didn't work. And as you get weaker, you'll fail, and then you'll drown. Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, I had an interesting experience this morning, and I'm just going to ask you one question. If you fell into ice water, how long until you became hypothermic? Not dead from hypothermic, just hypothermic. And you can see here that it's pretty interesting. 50% of the people said 5 minutes or less. And if you go on here, like if you add that, 70% of the people who responded said 10 minutes or less. And the reality is, as we're going to talk about, the answer is actually 30 minutes or more, only if you have a life jacket on. So, we're going to describe cold water immersion. The first one is the cold shock response. Then there's cold incapacitation, which kind of happens within 5 to 15 minutes. And then hypothermia will only set in 30 minutes or longer. So in parallel, we're going to talk about this 1-10-1 principle that we developed. It goes like this: 1 minute to get your breathing under control. You have 10 minutes of meaningful movement, and you have 1 hour before you become unconscious due to hypothermia. So, let's review these three effects. The first one, the cold shock response. We tell people that it lasts about a minute. Now, gasping, you know, we don't need to speak to that. You get a cold blast of anything and you gasp. And you can imagine that that's not a great idea. And the other thing about uncontrolled breathing is, and I don't think most people think about this, but when we're running or playing games or swimming, we usually entrain our physical movements with our breathing pattern. But now, if you have uncontrolled breathing, it makes it very difficult to control your swimming, as we saw a few cases earlier on. Second effect, cold incapacitation. We saw that a bit earlier, and we're going to see that quite a bit later on in our next set of swimming, right? So, and it's all about just the effect of cold on muscle and nerve cells, right? Muscle cells do the action, nerve cells send the signal. You make either of those cold, and you're not going to be able to perform. It's pretty, you know, the physiology is complicated, but the principle is simple. Okay, so in water that's near freezing, incapacitation can occur within 2 to 10 minutes. So the third effect is hypothermia. This is what everybody associates with cold water immersion. So the realities are, even in ice water, it'll take 1 hour before you become unconscious due to hypothermia. Only if you have a life jacket on, because there's no way without a life jacket that you can keep your head above water long enough. Okay, so a life jacket really increases your chance of survival, as we all know. And remember, you're trying to increase your survival time, and you know, even if you can increase it 10 minutes or an hour, that could make the difference between living and dying.
Today, the campers were tasked with some specific incapacitation tests. 4 volunteers headed just offshore to go for another swim, but this one was a little different from the one before. Chuck and Jonah, and Ashante and Rachel were each asked to take a swim in pairs, one with a life jacket and one without.
Okay, now Rachel is doing very well with her PFD. In fact, I just asked her, and she actually said she was okay to keep swimming. Now she's getting very cold, but obviously she swam a lot further than she or Ashante would have been able to do without a life jacket. Oh man, you guys have a very So as you can see, Chuck is having a very difficult time. He can keep his head above water, but with the waves and the cold water, basically all he's doing is staying afloat. He's not making any headway.
The remaining 4 campers stayed closer to shore and were tasked to perform several tests. Their jobs were simple ones, like tuning and calling on a VHF radio, deploying a signal flare, and trying to record a vessel. But as time went on, those tasks became less simple, and after a short time in the water, you could clearly see that they became slower and more belabored.
That's going a little slower.
Tim and Victor were removed from the water, but Mario and Mark stayed in longer, much longer, to take them into mild hypothermia. Along the way, their core temperatures were measured, and interestingly, both experienced an increase in the beginning before the cold water started to cause their temperatures to drop.
Okay, so in 20 minutes we've gone from 100.5 to 99.2. We dropped a degree at 1.2, and then you dropped another degree in the last 10 minutes.
If I didn't have a life jacket, I don't know that I would have made it much past that 5 or 6 minute mark. Certainly I would have drowned. I certainly wouldn't have made it 30 minutes. You're not going to be thinking about how much that thing cost. You're just going to be glad you have it.
This is a very interesting weekend because even in water at 45 to 47 degrees Fahrenheit, we were able to see all 3 phases of cold water immersion. Just about everybody had a cold shock response, lots of gasping and hyperventilation, which in a couple of cases made it very difficult to swim. Pretty well all of them, on one day or the other, had cold incapacitation and were not able to swim, so they went to swim failure. We even took a couple of guys to hypothermia, although that took quite a while in that water. And that just proves the point. The life jacket is absolutely necessary to get past those first 2 phases and survive long enough to be rescued.
When it comes to cold water, preparation and prevention are the keys. Try to prevent yourself from falling in cold water and prepare in case you do with simple things like having a plan of how to rescue yourself or how to call for help. Knowing what to do in those first few critical minutes can make the difference between you becoming a statistic or a survivor. And regardless of your age, fitness level, or ability to swim, the best way to stay safe on the water, any water, is to simply wear your life jacket.
All right, so that's a good indicator that you need to make a plan. And besides, if you're out there alone and you get cold and you finally get on your boat, you're not going to have the strength to paddle. You're going to be too tired or too cold, and you're not going to be having the wind blowing on you. The primary goals for the treatment of immersion is prevention, prevent any further heat loss, warm yourself up coming out of the water, stabilization again, and packaging, which means, let's see, you're shivering and you're most likely mild or cold or just mildly hypothermic. If you're conscious and shivering, your body core temperature is most likely above 89. But obviously hypothermic is not shivering. The core body temperature is probably in the range of 86 to 89. The pupils will maybe dilated. So they're the signs you look at with people. Dilated, could be disoriented. Unconscious was what it is called. They're talking about if they're unconscious, wearing a flotation device. They've been in there a while, and they probably would take it in water. So that's the real critical part. One last little. That's tissue shutting down. It's not hypothermia, that's just tissue and muscle shutting down within 5 to 6, 7 minutes. Mental relaxation, removal of hydrostatic squeeze. When you take people out of the water, there's water pressure, so you want to bring them out horizontally. Don't handle them roughly. This is somebody that's straight up floats in, or you find them and you bring them on the boat. Try to handle them as gently as possible. They're going to have incorrect warming. Again, you want to just use baggies with warm water if you have them. Blankets, get rid of the cold clothes and get warm stuff on them. Body temperature, if you have nothing else, you lay next to them to share body heat. This is electric shock though. I think we're running out of time, but there's electric shock syndrome. We can talk about it some other time. And people do get shocked around the harbor in fresh water because people's cords fall in the water, and there are a lot of people that die. But, so this is the treatment: blankets, warm clothing, This is the taco wrap where they put a baggie or something with warm water, not hot, under the arms here in the groin area, and then wrap them up to get that core body temperature up. Some warm drink. This is mild. No shower, no hot shower. Don't put them in a shower standing up. Keep them horizontal.
How long do you keep them horizontal?
Well, you're just like a CPR. You do CPR until you get a reaction. You keep them warm. You're calling 911. So you're doing this, and you're hoping, well, where's the ambulance? Because you want the professionals in. You're doing everything you can do. This isn't like they're going to bring them back. I mean, you're going to do what you can for them until the professionals get there. All right? These are just, I see all the different vests and things like that. Fanny pack, the vests that I really think are good in rough water. I mean, if you're out on a hot day in Santa Cruz and you've got the 6-man, you don't need them on. But just be aware if the condition changes, if you have trouble swimming or something. Basically, a radio, a flare gun, and a leash. That's for a one-man. Of course, you have all that in your bags on the boat. A lot of guys, I've been out with guys, to this day my friends go, oh, I've got, you got a radio? I got a radio. I left mine home. Well, at least you got a radio. I go, what if something happens to me? Right? What if I go down and I've got the radio? And anyway, so leash and all that stuff. So basically, that's my boat. Another thing you want is the same as a paddle, an extra paddle, because I've had a couple of times, so I lost a paddle again under the San Mateo Bridge where I got hit by a wave and my paddle, I got hit across and it went off the boat. Didn't fall off, but my paddle just flew right there and it waved through there. It was one of those $300 ones, so I was thinking about just jumping for it. But it kept bouncing, and I said, okay, I have a couple of seconds to get that other paddle off. And believe it or not, I had a release, and it still took me a while because I'm reaching back, and the waves are going like this, so I'm not holding it. So you need a paddle, you need a radio, you need a leash, and basically, be safe, be happy, be warm, be smart. Are we on time? Perfect.